Hello, everybody. I am Critique Quartz, and I'll be your host for the next few runs of the marathon. Up next, we have Abby's Corner with Illbleed, Bad Ending, and that is such a fun run. Let me tell you, I'm a big fan of horror-themed games, and that one has just about every genre of horror in it you can imagine. So, without further ado, let me just tell you a little bit about our event. This is SS4TL. Speed Stuff for Trans Lives 2 is raising money in support of Equality Texas Foundation. To donate, type !donate in chat and follow the Tiltify link. You can also apply your donation to various bid wars and incentives. We have a few of those coming up, so go ahead and donate. Even if you can't donate, we appreciate you being here and supporting us by watching the show. And without further ado, Abby, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Hello, everybody. I hope you're ready to go to Horror Disneyland, because that's what we're doing. That's what essentially this game is. It's trying to save all of our friends from Horror Disneyland. But we're not doing that. We're not going to save all our friends. We're going to not save them. Also, fun fact about our host of the evening, Critique is actually quite the Illbleed connoisseur and expert. Believe it or not.
I've just seen very, very many LPs of this game. Like I said earlier, I'm a big fan of horror, so anything that, like, is vaguely horror, especially older horror, I'm here for, and Illbleed scratches all those itches.
Also, you may notice a certain copyright of a certain company, so there are some Sega Easter eggs in here. But without any further ado, in 3, 2, 1, we shall begin. So yes, this came out on the Sega Dreamcast, I believe shortly after Sega killed the console in America. For those that don't know the history of the Sega Dreamcast was actually quite popular in Europe, and somewhat popular in Japan as well. Ironically, this was one of the games that didn't come out in Europe, which is kind of funny. I mean, it did come out in Russia, which was the only European country to get it, but there's no official, like, EU copy of the game, or PAL copy. It was also one of the very few games to get a Chinese localization, as there is a Taiwanese version, which is the most expensive version at over $700. The North American version is $500. With the Japanese copy roughly about $200 Canadian or so. The game is fantastic, but very, very niche. There's actually currently only like 4 runners of the game. Also, we're coming up on our first pattern here. How do you know what pattern you're on? You see how that says smell? Well, because it's still going, that tells me that we're on B. There's an A pattern, a B pattern, and a C pattern. All the patterns are random. You never know what pattern you're on unless you know what you're doing, or you're smart and you have notes. Unfortunately, I'm not smart and don't have notes. I wish I had notes, but I can barely comprehend the English language, so I don't have them, so I have everything memorized in my brain. You may have seen this game at AGDQ, done by Punchy. Punchy and I are the only 2 runners that have done every category in the game. That being said, he does kind of crush my times right now. The other 2 runners that are currently running this game, or have run this game recently, are Umbrella Jill and Ecdysis. Umbrella Jill is the one responsible for me actually running this game. We're keeping to the left wall right now, because the right wall has fight encounters. That's what the Sixth Sense going off is. The Sixth Sense is either fight encounters or items that we can pick up. More often than not, it's that. So here we're coming up with one of the new skips that was recently found, which is called Kitchen Skip. So what we're going to do is we're going to tag that tramp. Then we're going to jump on this table to skip a fight. You have to run into the table and jump. You can't just jump to avoid the fight. it's a really weird skip. We're going to pick this up because we need to. Any items that I pick up, you have to pick up the first time you go through, because any traps that you skip over are still active. And here's another skip that I recently discovered, where we can just walk around the table. We used to only think that we could get away with skipping the bottles, with tagging the bottles, I mean, on C by jumping on the beds, but on B we can walk around to the left. A, you still have to tag the bottles to get past that. And so now we're continuing. You have to tag that corpse. If you don't tag the corpse, you still get the cutscene, but it also attacks you. And then we're going to fall through a wall because it skips a fight, a rather annoying fight. And there we go. Going to grab this in case I bleed at any point. And then we're coming up with another recent skip. This was found before AGDQ, so you might have seen it. It's called chair skip. I failed it, so now we get the fight. No. Basically what would happen is we would skip the fight and run into the hallway. However, it cannot be done on A, because A has this right here go off. And so what would happen on A if you did chair skip is you'd get hit by the beams and then you would get pushed back into the fight. So right now I'm running on the right wall waiting for the second broken light, and then I'm going to tag the broken light and the top light. And then there we go. And then we're escaping this wrench gentleman.
I think we kind of like glossed over it, but I will say, when Abby loaded into the level, she beelined it to the horror monitor, which you do have to find in every level. That's not something that they give to you. And that's what she's used, the bar at the top that gives you the senses, and also what lets her tag traps.
Yes. And it's the I got hit by the eyeball. And it's also the only thing that's not RNG in every level. Patterns are complete RNG. Just because I've gotten a B here does not mean I will get a B in levels 3, 4, and 5, and 6. Level 2 does not have any patterns because the horror monitor will get stolen, as you will see. But the horror monitors are always in a set location. They are never changed. And right now we are putting the items where they need to go. And then we're going to meet good old Gale Banbullow. Most people don't realize that his name is Gale because we usually skip over the story introductions, and it tells you his name in the story introduction. And so now we're just skipping. Once he starts firing like that, back twice, and then just run here. Boom. I always dodge twice, so it brings him a little forward, so that way I can skip behind him like that. And now we're going into his maze. With the maze, you want to go left anytime it can allow you to go left. He's going to come out of the second right here. Usually you don't see him. Sometimes you do. It's very rare that he's going to catch you, though. Again, the maze is very simple so long as you remember to go left. You want to kind of sometimes play a game of chicken with him, so that way he doesn't surprise you with an auto turn and gets you into an encounter. Again, he's going to come out here. And if he gets caught on a corner, I recommend pausing his position by opening the map. Anytime you open the map, it pauses an enemy's position. You'll see that a lot when we get to wood puppets. So there's Kevin, the only friend we're going to save, because it's faster to save him than to let him die. It takes roughly about 14 minutes of just sitting there and waiting for him to die, which is not very fast. The only time we let Kevin die is in True Ending, but unfortunately True Ending is the most marathon unfriendly ending, or not, yeah, ending, I call it an ending, in the game, because in that ending, Eriko progressively gets more nude as you pass each level, because letting friends die, for some reason she loses, like, pieces of her clothing for some reason. So that's a thing. And we had a very good maze, and now it's time for the fight. When it comes to the fight, stick to the side that has the gas canister. That's kind of his blind spot. Fortunately, I do get hit there, but we're doing pretty good right now. Again, you kind of want to hit him the 3 times. And you'll notice that because I'm sitting in his blind spot, I can just sit here and wail on him. When you see him back like that, like how he just kind of like went like that, you do have to reposition yourself because it does move him and he doesn't go back into the position he was. That's also getting a counter hit when he's backing off like that, so he's taking more damage as well. And now we check to see if Kevin's alive. You will get this cutscene if he's alive. If he's dead, you'll just continue running past him. Pick up the Amazon as an important backup because we never know how this is going to go. Plus, you'll see the flashing red bar going off there. That's bleed damage. Bleed damage is the thing that is most likely going to kill you in a casual run as well as the game. This game is actually quite difficult, even in a casual sense. So it's probably the most difficult game that I speedrun. Pay no attention to the fact that I'm making this look like easy. Again, you want to hit the dodge button anytime you see him starting to wind up because he does a ton of damage. If I didn't take any damage at all, you can take a maximum of 3 hits from him before you die.
You are just zooming through this.
Yes. I have played this game also a lot. Want to say I'm over 200 hours at this point, so I am also a wee bit experienced with it as well. So we're coming up on the end of the Bambi chase. There we go.
And remember, this is all horror Disneyland, so of course that's not real. It's just a giant animatronic being controlled by someone.
Yep. And we kill the person, grab his ID card. Very important to grab his ID card because you need it to finish the level. And if you're bleeding and you had to use the Amazon early or you didn't bring any gauze with you, you most likely will die before getting to the key card reader, and you'll have to come all the way back and grab it. So it's kind of like, don't forget to grab that, otherwise it could spell your doom. So now we're just running. But yeah, not a lot of people have run this game. Right now there are currently 2, I want to say, active people because Punchy hasn't ran it in a little bit. Egdisis has just picked it up and Jill is currently on a break, but she should be getting back to it soon. She's also very good at the game, and like I mentioned earlier, was the one who got me into it because I would just show up and be like, what is this game? And it's wacky, as we will see. So I used the Amazon to heal there so I could make it here because I was about to die as my bleeding meter was almost done. Of course, depending how much you're bleeding, it'll start reducing your heart rate. If your heart rate goes to 0, you die, and it will also start reducing your health. And if your health goes, obviously, it's death. So we have just finished Home Run of Death with the clear. Some things have also majorly changed with the route, starting, I want to say, around mid-November, early December, where we start using Kevin in Worm Queen's Revenge, as well as level 4 and level 5, or level 5 and 6, sorry. I'm not going to use him in level 2, aka Worm Queen's Revenge, because if I get into a fight encounter, all the time save he gives you is gone. Because what happens when Kevin, Michelle, Randy, or Jorg get caught? They squirm around for a good 15-20 seconds because they're scaredy cats, and unless you get the shock collar, they squirm around for 20-15 seconds. Erica will immediately get up because the horror monitor's been stolen, so we don't have the horror monitor. So if we get caught, it's like, oh no. You know, get spooked. So there's a very set pattern that we're going to do here. We're gonna run to the left side, stick to the left side to avoid the evil monkeys. Evil monkeys are trash. So we're going to avoid them by sticking to the left. That's what the sixth sense is going off, is the evil monkeys. We still get sixth sense, but it's because they're like very close to us. Anytime you see the screen shaking like that, that's a worm trying to do its thing. Then we're going to stick to the right side here. What's the worm doing? Good. Go in here for a minute to avoid him. Sometimes you have to do that, other times you'll get straight up caught. Again, stick to the right wall. There's worms to the, or a worm to the left. Continue to stick to the right wall. Again, there's going to be a lot of sticking to the right wall. And then you want to go to the side with the movie signs. So again, sticking to the side with the movies. Because that's important. Again, because we're heading towards the drive-in. Careful now. And then we're going to stay away from the signs. Again, there's going to be evil monkeys. If there's actually any donations, it could be a good time for that, as I'm just basically sticking to the right wall.
Of course, I would like to say we do have a donation incentive up for frog gun. I believe that is correct. It's a combination of the word frog and gun, so I assume that it can only be pronounced frog gun. For the Brutal Rush incentive, right now we are sitting at 0 out of $600 raised for that, and I see a lot of talk and chat to suggest donations and get going on that. I know that that run is coming up tomorrow, and we'd love to see it. So go ahead, get donating so we can open more incentives early and raise more money. It's for a great cause. We're benefiting the Equality Texas Foundation. So yeah, we've raised over $2,000 so far, which is an amazing pace for this marathon. Keep donating.
Indeed. So now we're in the easy part of the level, because now we're just doing what I like to call car poor, because, you know, we're not quite doing our parkour because we're not jumping across buildings, we're jumping across cars. Also, there's only Rachel here at this point, the Worm Queen. We're going to grab that. Also, I got the cutscene skip. It looks like... Oh, almost. You can skip that cutscene by going at a certain angle. Obviously, cutscenes are skippable anyway, but there is a possible way to do that. So now that I have the rusty key, we're going to open there, and then we're going to stick to the right wall, because there are zombies with guns on the left. So we're going to stick to the right wall to avoid them.
Such wide enemy variety. I've got to ask Abby, what is your favorite enemy in this game, and why is it the worms? Are you sure? They seem to like you quite a bit.
My favorite enemy is I don't want to spoil it. When he shows up. So I'm gonna keep that a secret. Also, we have some interesting movie posters. Also, we pick up the flamethrower. Another thing about the cabin is you can get a character upgrade in there, so you want to be careful that you don't get it, because unless you use the character upgrade, it sits in your inventory forever, which can really mess things up. So we're just knocking things over. Like, here's this lovely Godzilla parody poster, and so basically we're making platforms for ourselves right now. Also, those zombies with guns are still active, by the way, so that is a thing. Also, there's a worm movie poster as well. So here's the thing about jumping across these lovely cars. You see this dirt here? If you land in that dirt, Rachel shows up. If you're caught by Rachel, you have to run away from her because she has infinite health. But she'll also kick you back to the beginning of the car section. So it's like, oh joy! joyous of occasions, so you'll have to redo the entire section again. Now, the reason we picked Kevin is because male characters have better jumps than female characters. It makes no sense. They have better jumps, but they have terrible melee attack speed, which is why the new sort of method is Eriko in Stage 1, Kevin in Stage 2. Of course, I'm not using Kevin because had I been caught by a worm, it would have lost me all my time, and I'm like, I don't really want to risk that. And again, because that was a counter hit, by the way, so we do extra damage, which was lovely. And so we use Eriko Stage 1, 3, and 4 because we're mainly using melee weapons for that. And then Stage 2, 5, 6 is Kevin. So we will see Kevin, who is actually voiced by Sonic Adventure Sonic, believe it or not. I guess Sonic Easter egg number 1 is that. Or Sega Easter egg, I should say. Because there are other Sega Easter eggs there as well that we will see throughout the run. Another good counter hit. Here we go. Come on.
Have you explained counter hits and how enemies can be defeated by them?
Not yet. I was going to explain that in 3 because we actually fight enemies in Wood Puppet's Revenge. Or
I'm getting ahead of myself.
It's not Wood Puppet's Revenge, sorry. Because bosses don't require counter hits to die, they just need to be hit. So if you wanted to save Michelle, you would go down that road. That cutscene happens because I went too close to that corpse because I was trying to show where Michelle is. Fun fact, it is our very own Critique Quartz who notified me of that fact because I had no idea where Michelle was at the time. And then the first time I ever ran this game, Critique was my commentator, and she was like, yeah, Michelle's down there. And I was like, oh, I didn't know that. So I'm just buying some supplies here because now we need to start buying supplies because we will run into regular enemies. Starting with wood puppets. Also, we will meet our friend Randy. Also, the Japanese version has different foods. It's not salads, it's ramen in the Japanese version, so it's very much like Japanese food, whereas the American version is, salads and whatnot. The other difference, too, is when we get to it in Killaman, is that there's music inside the morgue. In the Japanese version, there's just silence while you're walking through it. So now we're here in Wood Puppets, where there's a giant tree with a mustache. That's not a joke either, that's an actual thing. So now I'm going to start tagging things, and we are on C. How do I know we are on C? Because C is the only one that has the first chainsaw. So it's first chainsaw, and then this painting, which is actually a chainsaw that's going to break out of the glass, but you tag the painting. It's really weird. Grab the axe, because that's our weapon of choice for the level. And because we are on pattern C, which is the second most optimal pattern for this level, the most optimal pattern being pattern B, because we don't have to deal with the, whatchamacallit, we don't have to deal with the wood puppet fight. There's a wood puppet fight that we have to deal with on C, so that is what we will be dealing with. Tag that, walk forward, tag, 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 tag. And then there's going to be a lot of cool happening here. You need adrenaline, which is the blue meter there that keeps increasing by 50. I bought an injection just in case I run out. And that's the first section. Now for this part, you want to tag the second window. The first window's never active, so I always call... And that was Randy, by the way, the little wood puppet that was walking there. He makes funny noises because he doesn't have a brain right now. So that's also a thing. For a good ending, by the way, you don't need to find his brain and save him with a brain. You just need to save him. So that's a thing. However, if you save brainless Randy, he has no adrenaline. So, yeah, you don't want to play as brainless Randy because you have no adrenaline. And then if I can just turn that correctly, I'll avoid the trap. We go up here. Come on, Erica, you can do it. And we take this gentleman's piece of wood, and now we have our first encounter with a regular enemy. Now this is where we have to hit counter hits, because enemies can only die from counter hits. They can take damage, but they have to have a counter hit to die. So basically a counter hit goes off because you're countering them from hitting. That was also a really excellent fight, as I didn't get a single, they didn't hit me a single time.
This is a great run so far. Knock on wood.
Indeed.
Just...
Haha, because we're in wood puppets. And there we go. Skipping these cutscenes. And now we want to take a wide turn there. The reason we're taking a wide turn is because A and C, it's the first grate there. And then depending if you're bleeding or not, because we're not bleeding, stick to the left wall to avoid everything else. The other wall is 2 traps. Tag that because, again, wood puppet fight. I've only started tagging this recently because it's, I don't want to take heart damage and I want to try to avoid the wood puppets as fast as possible because they're very fast and they can do quite a bit of damage and they're kind of super annoying. Note, enemies can kill each other because as you can see they're hitting each other, but again, enemies have to die from counter hits. Now we're about to put the piece of wood in. In the Japanese versions, it's 1564, which is a reference to, I forget what it's a reference to exactly, but it has to do with death. In the English version, it's wood, so 9663. So yes. So because we're on C, we need the second light. So there we go, second light. B is the last light and A is the first light. So there we go. Cool. And we're just walking as a wood puppet. Also, for some reason, Eriko doesn't lose her brain when turned into a wood puppet, which is really weird.
I think it would be kind of impossible to finish this portion if you were just turned brainless.
You're not wrong.
Illbleed is already a hard game. You're making it look very easy, but to basically put you in a joke character with no warning would be very mean, even for these developers.
Again, you're not wrong. There we go, we're done with C. Well, with this section. As I'm just turning. And now we're going into the wood cutting competition. So, you will see me flip between lumberjack and woodsman, like 1,000 times for this. So we're going in, we're a wood puppet. And remember the thing that I talked about with Bambalo, that if you're feeling like you're gonna get caught, you should pause the map. We're going to be, abusing this, I'll call it, because it's, we're very slow, and the woodsmen are very fast. So I'll be pausing a ton. One thing I forgot to mention, that if you want menus to go fast, you want to hold the right trigger a lot, hold it down the entire time. So there we see woodsman number 1, running there. Sorry, sir, but I must do that. For some reason, whenever you do this, it pauses them in place. I don't know why. And so anytime I see them come into frame, that's when I pause it. You want to kind of keep one kind of following you because it causes the others not to spawn in, because the game's kind of like, I only want one of you on screen at a time. Because there'd be one coming around this corner right now if I wasn't having this one follow me. Sometimes they like to not bother you for a while sometimes, and I don't know why that happens. Could be a despawning thing, or it could just be they want to be nice. Which is nice of them. Now there's two paths we can take. Punchy takes the other way, which takes you through a bit more maze. Jill and I take this path as I accidentally get caught by him, so this encounter is a bonus one, so we're going to dominate him with T-poses. There is another attack that you can do. I'm not exactly sure which one is faster, because Punchy likes to use just this one. I kind of rotate between the two methods. The other method to do that is... Also, the camera likes to turn you around sometimes. So, right around here is when the woodsman would stop chasing you on this side. I forget when they stop chasing you on the other side. This is why I kind of like this one, because I feel like the woodsman stopped chasing you, but I have no idea which one is faster. Because the other one pops you a little bit closer to the woodalls. But I also... Like, again, I haven't tested, and I don't think anybody's tested which one is faster, because the route that Punchy takes pops you out right there to the left, whereas the method I use pops you out back there, but also there's less woodsmen to deal with. So now that we're paused here, we're going to... This is where you would heal if you needed to heal. And then we're going to crawl up here. We're also not going to deal with any woodsmen for a while. However, one important thing here, ladies and gentlemen and non-binary pals, is the fact that you can fall off this platform. If you fall off the platform, you may notice that there's woodsmen running around under me. Yeah, they're going to try to kill you. And you have to redo the entire route all over again as well. So it's like, oh... Well, isn't that fun? So yeah, don't fall down. Unfortunately, I don't know which route Ecdysis takes for the bottom, but I believe he does the other route as well. So I think it's kind of half of us do one way, the other half do it the other way. But again, I'm not 100% sure. So now we're about to deal with lumberjacks again. There he is right there. We're going to be pausing a ton because we kind of want to lock him in that position. Also, I believe he can fall off the edge, as I believe that's happened once or twice. So there we go. One thing that was recently discovered or figured out is when going down the stairs, Erico is briefly in midair for a second, which means you can't open the map, because if the game thinks that Erico's in the air, it doesn't let you open the map. So that's a thing. If you want to save Randy, by the way, you want to go towards the arrow and that first aid sign. But there's an extra fight involved. It's actually not that bad because we're a wood puppet. Wow, this one is really wanting to chase me right now, which is good. Because if he wasn't chasing me, there'd be a guy right where I am right now, and that could have been very dangerous if he was there. What's happened to me for quite some time is that the guy who's currently chasing me kind of stops by the time I hit the, whatchamacallit, and we've passed the maze. So now we're in the gauntlet, and one thing that we've figured out is that B and C can skip one of the three of them by sticking to the left. So here's the other attack. To do this attack, it's down and trigger. As you can see, he's not really having a chance to attack, but it's in terms of damage that I'm not 100% sure if it's faster or not. Whereas dominating with T-pose, as we call it, is quite quick. Or because you're hitting them so much. It's a little bit slower, but because you're hitting them so much, it's like, haha. Also, right now I am bleeding. That is a thing. Tag the trap. But because I'm not at the blue chip yet, I should be fine for skipping all the fights. Here we go. Fight number 2. Ow. That's another thing too. When your bleeding hits the blue chip spot there, your hitbox increases for getting hit by traps and whatnot, or activating traps. So that is something to
I didn't know your
aware of.
hitbox changed. I just thought the blue chip was an indicator of if you stay still or if you run, your bleeding would increase.
No. It is your hitbox has changed. So now we go into the Wood Puppet Iron Maiden, as I call it, and we turn back into Eriko, where I'm going to heal because it's now time for the boss fight.
This is the only section I have notes on.
Oh.
I will say, look away from the screen if you're squeamish. This boss kind of pukes.
Yes,
if that
he
bothers
pukes.
you.
And he also has a mustache. So one thing that I discovered is that you can always hit him with 2 hits before he does an attack. Every time he pukes, you can hit him twice. Every time he does his tree swipe, it's 3 times. So 1, 2, 3, dodge. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. 1, 2, 3. Dodge. 1, 2, 3. Dodge. One thing that I also want to mention, if you're not a fan of Dreamcast controllers, there's a wonderful company called Brooks. They do converters and whatnot, and they've released a wonderful converter for the Dreamcast that allows you to use modern controllers, and it also works with the Sega Saturn as well. Also, now would be a good time for donations as well, if there's any.
Of course, we've got a donation from Metroid Crime, known Shadow the Hedgehog fan. For $25, she says, "Good luck, Abby, trans rights." And we also have a $1 donation from Zoe Potato. It says, "Let's go, Abby, smiley face." And they're both donated towards that Brutal Rush frog gun run. So we're making some progress. We'd like to meet that as soon as possible. So whenever you donate, make sure you put your donation towards that.
Thank you very much. Also, congratulations to Metroid Crime for finally beating Indie Villain. I believe it's 16-1 at this point.
Wow. That's a lot. Congrats.
Indie.
Okay. Metroid Crime is involved with Lady Arcader. She's the founder, and that's how I know her. But every event that I've worked for the past, 6 months, it seems like her and Indy are racing V, with however many Vs, and Indy always seems to win, so that's great.
Indeed. So the gimmick of this level is that we need $200,000 to get past a certain point. So that's why it pays us $150 off the bat. However, we had 221 entering the level, so we have more than enough. However, the gimmick of this level is that any traps that hit you, they will cost you money. Also, we're on B. How do I know we're on B? That sight is going off and that trolley is also going off. So we pick up the head. The head is very important. Also, B might be the best pattern for this level as well. So here we go. tagging everything here, even though I know it's B. It's a habit. But we know it's B because of the trolley. So we're going... There we go. And then we're tagging. Also, you may have noticed that I picked up what's known as a caution bomb. Very important, because it's going to tag him. I thought I tagged that. Very unfortunate. So there we go. There's the animation that shows that it stole money from me as well. So now I'm bleeding. That's not very kind. But... because... I use the caution bomb there, I'm opening the menu anyway, so it works out great. So we tag a bunch of things for free, like so, and then I forget if it's the mask or... So I'm just gonna tag some extra stuff, and I realized that it didn't let me... Yeah, it was the mask, and it didn't let me tag the mask at the time, so I'm getting hit by the mask. How unfortunate. And then the gimmick here is that whatever can it is on this side, it's the opposite can on there. So whereas it was the green can, it's going to be the brown can. And then we run up here. There's no trap here, so we just grab this. And then we turn. And we heal again. Because again, I believe 11 is the least amount of bleed that we can have, I believe, before we start bleeding every time we move. And here's our good friend the Hell Cake. This is why we picked up the head, because he won't let us continue on without it. We can take him with us if we want, and he'll just heal us. He won't heal heart rate, he won't heal bleed damage, he'll just heal HP. So we're going to skip out. Next, we need to grab 3 pieces of meat, so we're going to grab the 3 chicken here. 1, 2, 3. Very important reason for this. So we're going to tag... Actually, it's all the back half, isn't it? It's not even the one that I tagged. The one that I tagged is for C. So, back half is tagged. Also, the pork will fart on you if you miss it. So that's a thing. Tag the cow skull, like so. And then we have our friends, the giant roaches. There is a 7% chance that they will both go away after feeding them 1 meat. So we've gotten 1. Oh, snap! We got the double! Fun fact, Punchy has never seen that. That's a thing. Me and Jill have seen it. We've had it happen to us before. Also, one important thing when going there, you want to make sure how you're jumping. Because if you jump back towards the chef, it'll kick you back, and you have to go back to the thing and pick up another meat and fight meat again. It will not let you just continue, so we tag the onion there. And because we're on B, it's the second pile of goo, A is the first pile of goo, and C is the last pile of goo after the pineapple, or as apparently the rest of the world calls it, the anyanya. And of course, I get hit by the pile of goo. Congratulations me, you forgot your own rule after you just explained what you needed to do. So yes, apparently English is the only thing that calls it a pineapple. Everywhere else calls it some variation of an ananya. Ananya, of course, is French, but good friend Pippi in a top hat has informed me numerous times that the rest of the world kind of also goes with that. So English, I don't know what's up with that. I don't know why you call it a pineapple. Also, I'm going to heal here because this is the hardest fight in the game coming up. Because, you see, it's not 1 enemy, it's 3. It's 3 worms, in fact, looking for revenge.
This fight is why I asked earlier if worms were your favorite.
Nope. Now, one thing here is that you have to kill them with counter hits, but they also tend to like to back each other up. as well. So you have to be like, oh. And you also have to be quick with attacking them, because you may have noticed that that one did attack, but it didn't squirm when being hit. That's because its counter hit opportunity was over. This spot has killed many a run. Oh good, we've killed one. You also kind of want to kill them all close together, because you do have to wait for the orbs to all hit you. Feel free, chat, to drop orb at any point, by the way, when I'm fighting things or dealing with thingies. I don't get why orb is a thing, but orb is a thing when it comes to speedrunning events. I don't understand the lore behind that. But it's a thing. I just don't know the lore behind it, so I'm always like, oh, okay, or we scream orb at times.
I mean, it's because orb, I guess. I haven't seen any orbs yet, but I've seen a lot of love in chat coming in for both Illbleed and you. Got some indignation from Crime at being called out earlier, but, you know, fun times in chat right now.
Oh, wait, I should heal my heart rate because it is at 150. One thing I should note is that Erico has the highest heart rate. Kevin's the one you really have to worry about because he'll die at 180 heart rate, and also every dodge he does is 4, whereas every dodge that Erico does is 2. So that's a thing. So now we're in here. And we're good on that one. Are you the one that's double? 1? Yes, you are, because that's why the sight's going off. It is very, very, very rare that I get B, so it's like, what's happening?
So I have a question. The gimmick of this level is taking away money from you whenever you get hit by a trap, right? How tight is the money routing in this version of the run?
Yes. In any any version of the run, the money's not tight because we're not spending it in any run. Because we're only buying so much healing items and stuff. It would only be tight if we were upgrading stats. But because we don't upgrade stats in any run, because because True Ending is a New Game Plus category, we wouldn't worry about upgrading stats in the middle of the run because we'd already have fully upgraded Erico. And the other two, we just don't bother upgrading. So the money routing is not that tight for that reason. Because again, also, like I said, as we were entering, we had more than enough to get into Toyland to begin with. So it's like, haha. But because the game also just hands us $150, now we're in the maze. And Mary, or Marie, the game uses both names, is a pain, because she's really fast. So we're going to be doing the map manipulation. Also, fun fact, you take damage the entire time you're in the maze, just by being in it. That's something that Punchy discovered about 2 months ago, I think. It was shortly after his AGDQ run. And it's like, oh. So you can if you pay close enough attention to the green bar, you'll notice that it's going down. Oh, God. Okay, back up. Damn it! Okay, oh, no. So Mary is the only fight you can't escape from. So we have to defeat her, basically. She also does a ton of damage, but we were good there. So that's a thing. So she is defeated. We're going to run straight. Turn. I have no idea where she is currently, by the way. So there's a good chance that she will go around a corner or something and be like, hello again, and we'll get into another fight, and I'll go, no. Anyway, we're grabbing the pieces. It's all very simple when it comes to it. Also, if you are a bit lost, you can pause the map. It'll still pause her in place every time. Doesn't matter if she's on screen or not. She will be paused in place. You just heard her laugh. That means she's around. It could mean very well that she's behind me right now, which is fine because we're about to pick up the 4th piece, and for whatever reason, when you pick up the 4th piece, she despawns. So that wasn't too bad because we didn't take a lot of damage against her while she was running through the maze. I mean, obviously we've taken damage because maze. So there we go. Boom. And then we quickly do that. Again, very important that you hold down the button that activates the horror monitor, which is the right trigger, to quickly grab all the pieces and put them in, because the menu is very slow without it. I don't know why this is a thing, but it's a thing. Now we have to fight Mary to the death. We have to go find her first, and since we're on B, we want the fridge. If it was A, it would be the keyboard, and if it was C, it'd be the pair of glasses. Now we fight her to death. I consider Mary the boss of the level, even though there's no, boss health. One thing about this fight is I don't move around. I basically stay in place, but attack, because I don't want to chase her around. Also, you'll notice how I'm not bleeding by doing this, which I guess is an extra bonus, but bleeding is not my concern. Hitting her is my concern, and as you can see, she moves quite fast. But if I'm just standing there, as you just saw, and randomly hitting the wind, sometimes she'll step into the wind and get hit. So now, I hope nobody has any repressed memories of Mario Party, because I'm about to bring up those memories, because it's time for some jump rope action.
It's really interesting that you consider Mary or Marie the boss of this level when there is, in fact, the jump rope minigame.
I mean, it's still technically her. Oops. It's still technically her. Oh god. The curse. And it restarts. At least it was at the beginning, okay? Yes. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9. Wasn't fast enough on the 9. You know what's funny? I usually get this first try, so of course that would happen now.
I mean, jump rope being mean is, I guess, to be expected.
1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. It really slows down on that 10th one. So now we're allowed to pass, and now we're going to fight the actual boss. Who we don't really fight, at all. There we go.
And just like Bambelow, this is an animatronic being controlled by somebody else.
It's not even being controlled by anybody at the moment, because in the cutscene we see that the guy is not even... Oh wait, yes he is. Never mind. But we take the controller, because he gets a phone call.
Erica really does just slip in these back rooms like she owns the place.
Spoilers? Technically?
No. I don't think that's a spoiler.
I mean, it might be, because unless you play the true ending, you don't know who owns the park.
That's fair. So there's no telling if it's spoilers or not.
I mean, you're right. But also, I know who owns the park.
I'm so sorry I spoiled you on a game you speedrun.
Well, now I'm going to spoil it for the rest of chat. It's Eriko's father that owns the park. I bought too many healing items, it's fine. And now we're going to see our good friend Kevin. Because now we play as Kevin for the rest of the game.
Goodbye, Eriko.
It's fine. Also, speaking of true ending, it's really weird because we have to let all our friends die, but Kevin narrates the ending because Kevin becomes the president of the horror club. So it's like, what?
Yeah, I think we skipped the intro cutscene, but the intro cutscene is Eriko, like, giving a speech at the speech competition, and then all of her horror club friends coming up and like, hey, let's go to Illbleed, this, amusement park that's horror themed and win $1 million or whatever. And she's like, that sounds lame. I'm not going to go. And they all go and they get lost.
Yes, I believe it's like 2 days or something. Because also Michelle wins the tickets. So they don't even pay for it. Whoops, that's not what I wanted to do. You don't need to find out what the door codes are. You can just, if you know the door codes, you can just enter them. Of course, it's 0017 is the first one. Again, this is a giant walking simulator, which is why we can play as Kevin. Because again, Kevin's dodge speed is also faster, which is a benefit to fighting Killer Man. And
Killer Man, I'm just gonna pose a question to chat real quick. There's a few options. This is a murder mystery like themed level. Who do you think Killer Man is?
Is it A, Killer Man, B, Jorg, C, the player, D, Cunningham, and is there an E? I think there might be an E, which may be Jason.
Maybe. It's been a while since I've seen the full, like, quiz. But there's a bonus for getting it right. I don't think it matters here.
No, it doesn't, because you have to save Jorg in order for it to matter. If you save him and you guess right, you get $1 million. No, we're not on C! C is the best pattern for this level, followed by A and then B.
Do you know which pattern we're on?
I think A.
Oh no.
I think. I usually don't know until I'm in the other one, unless it's C. Because C is if that second pool of water was it. But I'm pretty sure this is A. A is the second best because there's... The reason C is the best, by the way, is because there's no... There's no... What's the word I'm looking for? There's no traps in the morgue. A only has a single trap. Yay, I avoided the, eggs. There's eggs that try to attack you. Yes, this is A. I'm pretty positive this is A. Tag right there and then walk into it by the wooden thing, so you'll be right at the helicopter. There's a Mary doll that will attack you, but if you tag in front that corner that I tagged, she'll just stand there. And again, going by the wooden crate or wooden wagon, whatever you want to call it, you're basically good. Tag the popcorn, because it'll try to attack you. Yeah, this is A. This is A. And then tag the two candies. There we go. And then we can leave. The hard part of the level is over. Again, it's a giant walking simulator, because now we have to go back to the very beginning to talk to Jorg. By the way, nobody likes Jorg. And fun fact, Jorg is actually named after his voice actor. So,
I think
that's a thing.
also, if you are saving characters, as you save them, they become playable. York is also a bonus character. Like, you aren't expecting to get him if you save him. But he's, like, really out of the way. I think you timed it, and it was actually faster to let York die and save 2 other characters and then revive him. Is that correct?
Yes. Saving Randy or Michelle and Randy because they're basically on the way, quote unquote, to the end of the level. Jorg is out of the way. And so you kill Jorg, go to the visitor center because he's only $375,000 to resurrect. And because we're not buying like upgrades and whatnot, you'll have 375 at some point, because also at the end of the next level, they give you 300,000. Unfortunately, we only get 50,000 for not solving this, so it's like, haha. So now we're walking all the way back, because now somebody has checked out the dead corpse at the very beginning of the level. And now we're going back through for more fun times. There we go. Keep turning. Again, very much a walking simulator, or in this case, a running simulator. And then, oh no, another dead corpse. Sacre bleu, c'est impossible. So jump. You don't have to jump, I just jump because I think it's faster. It's probably not. It's probably the same amount of time. 824. And then this will confirm my pattern suspicions, as if it's the last one, it'll be A. That was the last one. We are on A. Congratulations, me. You figured it out. I always tag the stairs. Also, you can't tag in... Hello? Do you want to tag things there, Kevin? Also, the game won't let you tag any of the traps until that little cutscene plays. So that's also a thing. Turning. And then we're just running.
In that case, I would like to shout out everybody who might just be tuning in. This is Speed Stuff for Trans Lives 2, our second Speed Stuff for Trans Lives event, and we are raising money in support of Equality Texas. Equality Texas and the Equality Texas Foundation work in tandem to secure full equality for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and queer Texans through political action, education, community organizing, and collaboration. The Equality Texas Foundation seeks to educate... I'm sorry, I'm reading the blurb again. I meant to say, if you would like to donate, you can type !donate in the chat to get a Tiltify link and donate.
Yes. I should note that this is a little bit personal for me, because I do have a very good friend of mine who is unfortunately affected by things that Texas has done recently. So, this one was personal for me to do, so I am glad that I was able to get into the event because of that. So please, do consider donating, because it's very unfortunate what's been going on down there. So here we go. Like I said, it's a giant walking simulator. We're almost done. Just a few more things. There's a ladder coming up that likes to be real finicky about being climbed, and it's like, why are you like this? Why? So, because we're on A, we're on the second best pattern, because there's only one trap in the morgue. Again, C has no traps, B has 2 traps. But, again, I can never remember exactly where they are, so I will get hit by them 97% of the time. So it's like, darn it. Also, the ladder wasn't finicky. Hooray. And
I was going to ask, is this before or after the massive room of bodies?
This is before.
Okay.
Massive room of bodies is the morgue, which is
okay.
the last part. Alright, chat. Time to find out who Killer Man is. Get your votes in chat right now. I will let you pick. Who's Killer Man? Is it York, Jason, Killer Man, Cunningham, the player?
I see some people saying player.
I am... Very well then, it is the player. That is... the Killer Man.
Shout out to some of the best video game writing I've ever seen. The reason they give for the player potentially being the killer is abnormality must have led you to buy this game.
So now we're in yet another maze section, and again in the Japanese version there's no audio, or no music. I don't know why there's no music playing for this part in the Japanese version, but there is. So here's the one part that we need to tag. I'm not quite close enough yet. Now I should be close enough. There we go. Boom. The one trap has been successfully avoided.
My favorite thing is that the game justifies having this massive morgue as this is where all the people who die in Illbleed are brought at the end of the day, and this is like several days worth of bodies or something. If that many people are really dying, I'm pretty sure somebody would come up and shut this place down.
Not if they sign a waiver.
Waivers aren't ironclad.
Touché. So this is the only encounter that we don't tag. Sometimes the zombies can be super fast, but it's complete random if they're going to be super fast. So Jorg gets kidnapped and gets knocked unconscious. So you would have to go find him. Also, by the way, the answer is that Killer Man is Killer Man, because Killer Man is actually the spirits of all the dead people in Illbleed. But again, because we don't find Jorg, it doesn't matter, because we won't get the $1 million prize. Also, you may have noticed the Sixth Sense going off, and that's because there's a bunch of items we can pick up, like a lot of health upgrades as well as healing items. By the way, you want to stick to the right here, because if you go towards the gray part, you will fall off and have to go all the way back around again. But once the corpses are on either side of you, it becomes an invisible wall. We're going to be taking the second right here, so it goes second right, left, right, left, I believe. I have the pattern memorized, but as of what direction I'm going in is a complete mystery, because I'm really bad with directions. It's what happens when your right arm doesn't work. You tend to ignore anything that's called right. It's a thing. Also, it doesn't help that French is my first language in an educational setting, so that used to be really confusing. I used to get my G's and J's mixed up all the time. That's not a joke either. Thanks, French. I really appreciate it. So yeah, you go right, then you go left.
I was trying to think of the way you would pronounce joke with a G in front of it, but I can't. Jork? I'm sorry. It wasn't worth it.
There we go. And I'm also gonna heal here because, like I said, Kevin costs 4. I'll use the adrenaline, why not? So because Kevin costs 4, it's very easy to get up to 180. That's another thing too. He dies at 180, whereas Eriko, I think, can go up to 250, or is it 220? Between 220 and 250, I think. But also she only costs 2 to dodge, where again Kevin costs 4. So it's very easy for him to die from dodging, or from heart rate. So now we fight Kill a Man to the death. So 1, 2, wait for that attack, boom. You kind of want to get him in the loop where he's doing the blast you, kind of, not that blast though. That blast requires 2 dodges. This blast where he raises his arms up like that. He's really easy to counter hit. And as you can see how fast Kevin is dodging, that's the main reason we use Kevin now for this level, is because of how fast his dodge is, that it really lets us get those hits in. But as you can see, I'm already up to 134. So that's the one important caveat, is that it's real easy to get Kevin's heart rate up, though Kill a Man is dead. I like how he shakes his head and puts his arms out like that
before he
in
falls
his
over.
death animation. It's just like... So there we go. Your prize is... And then we go get supplies. This next level is the most important level to make sure you're skipping things or tagging things correctly, because this is the level that has cutscenes. Like taggable cutscenes, because this level is called Toy Hunter or Cork Goes to Hell, or in Japanese, Inda Goes to Hell, because in Japan, Cork's name is Inda because he's a cross between Woody from Toy Story and Indiana Jones. But, you know, lawsuits, copyright laws, different in Japan and North America, so they call him Cork. But you get both names because Japan. Because in the Japanese version, it's still English dubbed, but it's Japanese text. So, that's a thing. Also, this is the level that has my favorite character, and soon all of your favorite characters. As a matter of fact, we had a Sonic block yesterday, and those Sonic runners may get a super kick out of what's coming up. But I don't want to spoil it. And they may be sleeping as well.
I was gonna say, this game actually belongs in the Sonic block, doesn't it? I mean, it's on the Dreamcast and everything, right? That it basically means it's a Sonic game.
I mean, you're not wrong for what's coming up. By the way, Korg will take on the hitbox properties and whatnot of whoever you choose, so he'll take over Eriko's sort of hitbox stuff, and like the 2 costing 2, yada yada yada, and how he reacts to enemy encounters. But where he is Kevin, and he'll still do male jumps even as Eriko. But whereas he is Kevin, he takes on Kevin's properties. So you want to tag this because that's the first story cutscene. Very important. Because those cutscenes are a wee bit long in the tooth. Oh god, please no. There we go.
I'm not actually sure how many cutscenes there are. There's quite a bit of them. But this is the only level in the game where you can skip them. By tagging them, so...
Yes. Yes, they are unskippable otherwise, by the way. Whereas most other cutscenes, you just skip them. Sorry, I'm trying to make sure that I tag the surprise's hand, because it's his hand that comes out and attacks you. Though there is a good chance I will get hit by his hand at some point, which may give you a hint as to who it is. Let me tell you, chat, you're in for a treat. Because little do you know what this game truly is. Those who have seen the game before, such as those who view Lady Arcaders on a somewhat regular basis, know what this truly is. Oh yes. And of course, if you saw Punchy's AGDQ run, then you truly know what this game is, yes. But if you've never seen this game before, then it'll be a complete and total treat. Ooh, it might be... we might be on C. Also, here's what the monkeys are that we skipped in Worm Queen's Revenge. We see them here. I'm just gonna let them hit me if they hit me. It seems to work better if you tag them and just let them hit you for escaping them. But that's just, like, my opinion. There we go, running about.
I don't think we've mentioned this either, but you do actually have to stand on that, like, helipad tile in order to escape a fight. You can't just, like, mash to escape anywhere.
Yes. Also in that cutscene, that's our introduction to the boss of the level. It's, I don't want to spoil it because you didn't see it. Is kind of where I'm at. I really don't want to spoil the surprise.
It's a treat.
Here's the zombies with guns. They do a crap ton of damage if they shoot you, but they didn't shoot me. Tag that and tag that, because I never properly remember what window it is every time, even though I tag the right one every time, even when I don't tag both of them. Quite awkward indeed. And now here, we can skip the fight. It's to the right of me, but if we hang to the left, we're good. And then we have another story cutscene here. The following is the only cutscene story, actually no, the second of two story cutscenes that we can avoid without tagging. We just need to walk along this wall. So right now, Korg is looking for a way to die, because he needs to get sent to Toy Hell, or at this point, Hell, to save Sexy Doll, who is in Toy Hell. Yeah, we're on C. I always forget about those boys. Come on, tag it properly, please. Don't fight me, game. Sometimes the game is really, really finicky about letting you tag the appropriate things. There we go. Heal up a bit. Because why not? No. 6 cents are items you can pick up, so you don't need to worry too much. Just making sure. Tag it. Does pop. There we go. There we go. And then I need to... There we go. Good, I don't need to use the adrenaline or the injection quite yet. Whoosh! You need to stand behind this in order to tag it. Trying to do it on this guardrail, it's kind of like an invisible wall and won't let you tag it, so we gotta go behind the behind the bench. And now we're at this part. Gotta be careful. Oh wait, maybe I'm good. Yep. Because it's secretly this one. Nope. Oh right, it's gonna be the one right before myself. That's right. Sometimes the game likes to trick me and be like, oh, by the way, you're not actually on the pattern you think. Ha 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 ha. Trust me, it's happened before. And I'm like, oh, come on. Also, you may notice that there's another Toy Story reference with Mr. Potodon here, who's a little stuck at the moment. See if you can guess what Toy Story character he's supposed to be based off of. There we go. Tag gas, because that's another story cutscene. Potodon is also a story cutscene. Grab the gasoline, because we need to give it to Mr. Potodon. Whee!
This is the jail breakout sequence.
Yep.
I think this is the part where we find out that, oh, we don't need to go to hell. We need to go specifically to toy hell. So we're trying to achieve that now.
Not quite. This is actually the part where we find out that we have to die by hanging. So that's the cue. Interacting with each of these is a trap. So if you interact with the wrong one, it's a trap. It'll do damage. Tag him. And in the cutscene, Potodon stops us from doing the thing, and then we go into the sewer system, which has a very specific thing. We go through the second one here. Jump. Jump again. Wrong way. Tag. That's the last, yeah, that's the last trap of the level for our purposes, or for the speedrun purposes. Coming up is the scene where we find out about Toy Hell, which is right now, and of course, the classic line, another lie, pops up, and we also take Potodon's chip, because Potodon has seen better days. So we need to find a toy, or a child, which is here. In the Japanese version, it doesn't say Cork, it says Inda. And I'm doing a very wide turn here, because there's an egg fight if you go too narrow. And here we go, child. So we go in, boom, and we've actually killed a child in that cutscene. So that's a thing. And then we get buried with the child, which sends us to Toy Hell. That's how you get to Toy Hell, is being buried with a child. Yes. Also, chat, prepare yourselves, for it is time. Are you ready? The true fact about this game is it's a Sonic the Hedgehog game. Dun dun dun. In his truest form ever, I give you Sonic the Hedgehog in satanic form. This is Zodic. He is the boss, he is the ruler of Toy Hell, and as you can see, he very much functions like a certain blue hedgehog of the Sega variety. So basically, we shoot him to get the rings out, and then we must murder the rings in order to do damage to him. Very Sonic the Hedgehog-like, as Sonic is technically immortal until he has no rings and gets hit again. So, still very much fits that Sonic the Hedgehog formula. Oh god, please no.
I mean, why doesn't Eggman just do this? If he destroys all the rings, Sonic could be defeated.
Because according to the Sonic the Hedgehog cartoon, the Sat AM one, he wants the power ring as a power source. So, there we go. He is defeated. Sexy Doll is saved. And now we just run to the final boss, because another thing that we didn't mention is that when you are in combat, you cannot heal. You can only heal outside of combat. In combat, you just get a pause. So because we're just going straight to the boss, we just go straight to the boss. One thing I do want to note is that you can grab Mary Dolls throughout the game. Mary Dolls allow you a second chance. The Mary Doll for the final boss fight is right here. Felt like showing where it was for y'all in case you ever want to try running this fine video game. And there's the owner of the park watching in the window. Now we have 3 bosses to choose from. We have Oh No Man, Cashman, and Bull Stinger. For the purposes of the speedrun, we want Bull Stinger. Kevin with the dodge. Pew 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 pew.
The Bull Stinger is actually a reference to Blue Stinger. It's an enemy type from that game that this company also created. There's quite a few other references, like Hassie, and yes. I think Dog's Bower shows up as one of the traps as well.
Yes, in Killer Man. Fun fact, the company actually changed their name in between Blue Stinger and Illbleed. Also, the Blue Stinger speedrun cannot be done on the Japanese version. I don't know why that's a thing, but it specifically states on the SRC page that it must be the European or North American version. And the Japanese version also only has fixed camera. Also, time is coming up here in just a moment. That was actually a really clean fight. And time. But also, please enjoy the most amazing ending song of all time to a video game. Like, this is the most baller thing. Also, for the purposes of the speedrun, you do have to let the song play and wait for the results screen. It is timed by RTA, but you have to wait for those two things. Time does end the second the screen goes black after you kill Bull Stinger, and the cutscene starts for Eriko's father to be like, "Well done, you have won." Eriko's father is the final boss in the true ending. Of course, I would like to thank Umbrella Jill for getting me into this game. The community of runners, again, is super small. It's literally me, Punchy, Dices, and Umbrella Jill. If you would like to run this game, Punchy has a guide on his YouTube channel. It is a little outdated, but it is still a very useful resource, I find, because he does go over where all the traps are. He doesn't go over the bed skip or the chair skip, because those were things that were found after his tutorial. But also, I'd be happy to, like, help with any questions and whatnot. There's a funny joke he said a couple weeks ago that his Discord is the Illbleed Discord, or speedrun Discord, so I'm sure Punchy would be happy to also answer any questions. I can't speak for him, but I know that I'd be helpful. I know and Jill would probably be happy to answer any questions. This game also almost got ported to Xbox. I don't know which Xbox, but it was almost ported to an Xbox, and then it wasn't ported to an Xbox. Of course, thank you to Critique for jumping on a bit of commentary, and of course for being such a gracious host. If you would like to follow me, you can follow me on the Twitch TV at Abby's Corner. You can also find me on Twitter at Abby_Brander. You can find me on co-host at Abby's Corner as well. Also on speedrun.com, I'm Abby's Corner. Yes, although on my stream right now, I'm currently going through the Resident Evil Redemption arc, as I'm calling it, as I've been doing a lot of Resident Evil 4, because it's time that I redeem myself in the eyes of all of the Resident Evil runners, because nobody realizes that I speed ran a Resident Evil at some point. But yes, thank you all very much for having me, and please do enjoy the rest of the event. Some really cool runners have been in this event and whatnot, and it is for a really good cause, so please do consider having those donations in and whatnot. And finally, we can see what my final time was, quote unquote. Also, what was my time out of curiosity?
The time to kill Bullstinger was 1:25:50.
Okay, not too bad. See, the in-game timer is very inconsistent as well, so it is what it is. But yes, that does it for me.
Thank you so much, Abby's Corner, everybody, with an amazing Illbleed run. That was bad end. We only saved one friend, unfortunately. But if you want to check out more runs, go check her out on her Twitch. For now, we're going to go briefly to intermission while we get the next runner set up and ready to go.